are told it involves a woman attempting to cross the border into New York. Channel 2's Liz Lewin has the latest from near the Peace Bridge.
Dave, just a couple of hours ago, a spokesperson for CBP confirmed that woman was arrested right here at the Peace Bridge. Now, CNN is reporting that the woman was attempting to cross into the States from Canada. They're also reporting that that woman was found with a gun. CNN first reported that a package containing ricin, a type of poison that can be fatal when inhaled or ingested, was sent to President Trump at the White House last week. That package was intercepted by law enforcement. Investigators say they were looking into possibilities that it came from Canada. That's after 2 tests confirmed the presence of the poisonous substance. Yesterday, the FBI released a statement saying in part, quote, "The FBI and our U.S. Secret Service and U.S. Postal Inspection Service partners are investigating a suspicious letter received at a U.S. government mail facility. At this time, there is no known threat to public safety," end quote. According to CNN, the Royal Canadian Mounted Police are also collaborating with this ongoing investigation. And Dave, we do know that U.S. prosecutors in Washington are expected to bring charges against that woman. However, we have no details confirmed at this time. In Buffalo, Liz Lewin, Channel 2 News.
Well, you see what's happening. God bless our president and God protect him. I want to say a good morning to all my fellow Americans. My name is Eduardo Rodriguez here once again on what's happening to our beloved country. And I want to send a salute to all my fellow members of the DAB, of which I am a member, Chapter 11, and to veterans of all organizations, and never forget those who have made the ultimate sacrifice in order to keep our country free, which now the communists, socialists, Democrat Party, Islamic terrorist organization wants to destroy. So we have to keep a vigilant eye, and we have to protect and help this country to be free again by voting conservative, 100%. The state of Florida, don't forget to vote for Maria Elvira Salazar for Congress. She's a true conservative, and she'll put a stop to these evil fiends in Congress who are the contrary. They just want to see the United States destroyed completely. And Donald Trump, let's see if we can do the same thing we did in Venezuela, where we named Juan Guaidó as president of Venezuela, and we froze the accounts of the communists. Let's do this, and it's working. Let's do the same thing with Cuba. Let's freeze the accounts of the communists, which have destroyed their country for over 61 years, and pass it over to Jose Daniel Ferrer Garcia as temporary president of the Republic of Cuba until there's free elections, without the participation of communists, Islamists, and fascists, who once given the opportunity, they just completely determined, like they do in the United States, to try to destroy the Constitution and our whole country by burning it down, looting, murdering, and financed by the Democrats. Isn't that incredible? It shouldn't be no surprise to anybody about that. Let me go to the next video here, which I have prepared. Okay, let me see. Let me go with this one. I'm going to leave the other one for last. Oh, wait a minute. This is the one I already passed. Okay. You see this one? Okay, this is the one I wanted to put down. I'm going to leave the other one for last. Almost all of them are coming out from One American News, which is very conservative. God bless them. So. Okay, here we go.
Contention for this year's most competitive battleground state, and some believe Latinos could determine the electoral fate of the state in this year's presidential election. One America's Shane Allhouse has more.
In one of this year's key battleground states, a sharp contrast is evident between the strategy of the Biden campaign versus the Trump campaign. In 2016, President Trump won won the state of Arizona by 4 points over Democrat nominee Hillary Clinton. Many are expecting the state to flip Democrat this election year, as polls show Biden leading in the state, and even more so among Latinos. His success isn't a given though, as for Biden to actually flip the state, he has to greatly surpass Clinton's advantage in 2016, which went as high as 12.4% in October leading up to the 2016 election. Currently, Biden only leads by 4.3% in the state, which means for the Latino population to really flip the state, he is going to have to take a much higher percentage of the Latino vote. On the other hand, the polling firm Latino Decisions reported in August 29% of Latinos in the Copper State support President Trump, nearly equaling his 2016 vote share. However, the Trump campaign has made large efforts to avoid losing the state to Biden come November. The president has already visited Arizona 5 times in 2020, and just this week hosted a Latinos for Trump roundtable in Phoenix. Plus, Latino Republicans have been at the forefront of efforts to sustain Hispanic support rates for the president in Arizona. Chairman of the Republican National Hispanic Assembly, Anthony Cabasa, says being a Republican Latino opens him up to criticism from people on the left, but he says he believes conservative policies should appeal to Hispanics and Latinos.
I've had people wishing that my children would catch COVID and die because of the president's rhetoric, and so it's definitely been an uphill battle, but it is a battle that I'm willing to take on because, again, I do believe that as Latinos and Hispanics, we are naturally conservative. We have a lot of conservative values.
So far, Joe Biden has yet to visit Arizona this year, and if the former vice president were to pull off the win in the state, he is going to have to trigger a seismic leftward shift among Arizona's Latino voters. Except Arizona's Latino population growth is being greatly over-exaggerated by the media. In 2016, Latinos made up 22% of Arizona's eligible voting population, and this year that number has only increased to 24%. Politico reports the growing population in Arizona, specifically among Latinos, will translate to the state voting Democrat for the first time since the 1996 presidential election. However, this growth might be insufficient, as the Biden campaign looks to erase the president's 4% victory in Arizona from 2016. And as the president currently sees similar polling numbers among Arizona Latinos as he did in 2016, the possibility of a repeat Trump victory in the key battleground state remains quite strong. Shane Althouse, One America News.
Want to see more videos like this?
Okay, let me
Click
stop
on the
right
link
here.
below and subscribe to One America News on YouTube, and call your cable provider and kindly.
I don't really believe in the polls. According to the Democrats, you can't trust them. They already won the presidency. Plus, all the fraud they have committed in the last election, because Donald Trump would have won with a bigger landslide. But all the crimes they committed, the thing is they got away with it. They got away with it. These people, and I haven't seen none of them gone to prison. Maybe some of them, I don't know. I may be wrong. I might have forgotten some cases, but there's been fraud committed from right to left by the Democrats. They want to win and they want to destroy this country one way or another. They want to turn it into another, how you call it, Stalin regime. Yeah, or Mao Zedong regime, or North Korea. Okay, I'm gonna go with this last one. Showing the kindness of Donald Trump, his tremendous kindness. This man has a great heart. And before I leave you with this last video, Donald Trump, I always pray for you and your family. That God bless you and protect you. The same with Mike Pence and his family. I stand with God and Israel eternally, and may God bless our country eternally. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. God bless you. Until next time. Bye-bye.
The mainstream media cuts President Trump very little slack and goes out of their way to cover up his many accomplishments since he's been in office. But it goes back much further than that. For decades, Donald Trump has been quietly helping Americans from all backgrounds, without any praise or credit from the media. As it turns out, the businessman turned president has a long history of random acts of kindness. For example, the president is a champion of women's rights, and going all the way back to 1980, Trump hired Barbara Rez to be the head of construction for his organization. She was just one of many women Trump promoted into prominent positions in construction at a time when the industry was dominated by men, with Trump even saying that a good woman is better than 10 good men. As a result, Barbara says she may have been the first woman in U.S. history to build a skyscraper. A few years later, in 1988, a Jewish family were desperate to find help for their critically ill son, who was just 3 years old and needed a flight from Los Angeles to New York for emergency treatment. But all the commercial airlines refused to fly their son because he needed to travel with several large pieces of medical equipment. Running out of hope, the family reached out to Donald Trump, who they said didn't even hesitate and agreed to have his private jet fly the family and their sick son to New York for treatment. The boy's father said, quote, "Donald Trump is a miracle, just a miracle." In 1991, witnesses say that while Trump was riding in his limo, he spotted a man being brutally attacked by a mugger with a baseball bat. Trump ordered the limo to pull over and jumped out of the car, shouting at the man to drop the bat, who, according to witnesses, then fled the scene. In 2008, singer and actress Jennifer Hudson's mother, brother, and nephew were all murdered at their home in Chicago. In another unexpected gesture of kindness, Trump reached out to the grief-stricken Hudson and offered to house her and her relatives at Trump Tower in Chicago for free. At the time, People magazine praised Trump for his, quote, heart of gold, with Trump saying he just wanted to help protect her and her family. A few years later, in 2013, bus driver Darnell Barton stopped to help a woman who he thought looked like she was about ready to jump off a bridge. Donald Trump heard about the story and sent Barton a $10,000 check for his good deed, saying, quote, "Your quick thinking resulted in a life being saved, and for that, you should be rewarded." The next year, in 2014, U.S. Marine Corps Sergeant Andrew Timoresi was arrested in Mexico and held for 7 months after he accidentally brought firearms across the border. Trump followed the case, and when Andrew was finally released and returned to the United States, Trump reached out and sent him a check for $25,000, thanking him for his service and bravery. But that's not the first or last time Donald Trump stood up to help America's veterans. In 2015, then presidential hopeful Trump stepped in to help Army veteran Todd Landon, who was critically wounded in an IED attack in Iraq back in 2006. Trump was holding a rally in Iowa and came down off the stage to speak with Landon, who told him about all the problems he was having getting proper care with the VA, which he said was rife with problems. Trump vowed to help Landon out, intervened with the VA on his behalf, and the very next day, Landon said the VA contacted him and shortly after approved compensation payments for his injuries. Trump took it a step further after he was elected president, and reversing nearly a decade of neglect from Obama, Trump forgave the student debts of nearly 50,000 permanently disabled veterans. In 2017, President Trump heard that the family of Army Corporal Dylan Baldridge was struggling after their son was killed in Afghanistan. Vowing his support for the family, President Trump personally sent them a check for $25,000 and instructed his staff to create an online fundraising page to help the family out. These are the stories the mainstream media doesn't want you to know about, and they're just a few of the many examples over the years of when President Trump took a stand and helped people who, in many cases, had nowhere else to turn. No one expected Trump to help. It's not mentioned in any of his campaign promotions, and he never makes any big speeches about it. He just did the right thing because no one